Now, she had the femininity, sensuality, sexuality thing on the outside on lock. The girl had it, she had it, like she had it, right? Like sometimes I'm just like, wow, girl, yes. We are really essentially, if you would give someone the passcode to your phone, but you would give them access to your body, that means you are honoring your phone over your temple, your body. People will say that femininity is weak, and it is not. The contrary. It's the contrary. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I want to talk about how you will lose every time when you do this, and where Marilyn Monroe got it wrong. So if you're interested in a video like that, please keep watching. So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So like I said, I wanted to talk about how you will lose every single time when it comes to your femininity, your feminine energy, when you do this, and where Marilyn Monroe got it wrong. So let's just get into it. So, you know, they had the Netflix series or documentary on Marilyn Monroe that I guess it released here recently. And I've been seeing a lot of people talk about the video and talk about the documentary and Marilyn Monroe and how talking about her tragic demise and things like that. And I also went into her affairs and her goings-ons with the Kennedy brothers and things like that. Now, I want to like unpack it in a way where it's kind of like, okay, a lot of women idolize Marilyn Monroe, and I do too. I think that she is like the epitome of femininity, and you know, she carries herself, sensuality, sexuality, and things like that. She really had harness on that sexual energy, that like sexual kitten, that kind of thing. And she had men just go wild. But why did a lot of women idolize her too? And I can just kind of talk from my perspective, is that, you know, having the adoration of men is something that a lot of women want. We desire to be witnessed by men, to have their adoration, to be cherished, and these kind of things. And it seems like that Marilyn Monroe kind of really had that. She had that thing that men just could not get enough of. And women like that. That's a kind of an innate thing in women. We want to be adored by masculine energy, masculinity. And it seemed on the outside that she had that, right? And so for a lot of women, you know, with Marilyn Monroe having men flocking to her and kind of having all of these men, it's kind of a like on the surface, well, she has all these men, right? And she has all the adoration of men in Hollywood and things like that. That's what I need to copy. That's what I need to be like, right? But she had a lot of skeletons. She had a lot of demons. And so when it comes to femininity, you definitely have to go deeper, right? Feminine energy is a lot deeper than just the aesthetics on the outside and talking a certain way, looking a certain way, being a certain way around men and things like that. And so you will lose every single time when it comes to your feminine energy, when it comes to femininity, when you lower your standards. Okay? Talk about standards and boundaries a lot on this channel, especially recently. There is such an imperative reason to why I keep stressing lowering your standards and not holding to your boundaries, letting people cross your boundaries and things like that, and holding your body as sacred. It's so important because as you see, I didn't watch the documentary, but many people know about the tragic demise of Marilyn Monroe and how she had a lot of skeletons and demons and things like that. And a lot of that had to do with her not holding to her standards, her boundaries, and things like that. Now, she had the femininity, sensuality, sexuality thing on the outside on lock. The girl had it, she had it, right? Like sometimes I'm just like, wow, girl, yes, yes. Like, and I think that's what a lot of, like, it's easy to see the outside of things, right? But it's the internal that's really important when it comes to femininity and feminine energy. And so let's dive a little deeper into this. Now, like I said, I didn't watch the documentary, but from what I hear, when she had her goings ons with the Kennedy brothers, and they kind of dropped her like a bad habit, is what they said. That really tore her up. Like, it really took a toll on her. Like, she also put herself in that situation. So we got to look at that. Like, why, as she was idolized. Why at that position would you need to be someone's, like, number two? I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what she was to them, because obviously President Kennedy was married and had a wife and things like that. So why would you put yourself in a situation where you're not number one, you're not being cherished, you're not being treated like you deserve? Why would you put yourself in a situation like that? And so we got to look at that. And so that's where Marilyn Monroe went wrong. She lowered her standards. She engaged in a situation that was really beneath her. It's beneath everyone, really, but it was really beneath her, right? So we as both men and women alike idolize her, especially when you're coming from a woman's perspective, that she got so much adoration. And so a lot of women desire to be witnessed and adored. And so we look at her as like something that we should copy, or something that we should be. But at the same time, we also forget that she had a tragic demise. Like, we are kind of like putting our blinders on to that side of things, and actually just looking at, oh, she had all these men that wanted her and were like feeding for her and things like that. We are kind of like putting our blinders to what really happened and what was going on behind the scenes, because it is a strong desire to be cherished and adored by masculine energy. Feminine energy loves to be witnessed, wants to be adored, wants to be cherished. It's a strong desire. And so even as women, we kind of like, well, she had those things, and those things are great. The fact that she was able to hone in on her sensuality, her sexuality, and things like that, those things are not a bad thing. Like, she had, when it came to her appearance and things like that, and how she spoke and everything, that was amazing. But like I said, you have to go deeper, and you will lose every single time when you lower your standards, when you allow people to cross your boundaries, when you are not tapped into your desire. I mean, obviously, I don't know Marilyn Monroe. I never knew her, but I'm sure she had a desire to be in union and have an amazing marriage and have an amazing relationship. I mean, that is kind of innate in all of us, is to want that for the most part. And so being in tap with your desires, knowing what you want and knowing what you don't want. And so these are what we don't want is knowing our boundaries and our standards, and then knowing what we want is our desires and things like that. And so this is where I want to really get deep into it. And so we will lose every time when we lower our standards and not honor our bodies on how sacred our bodies truly are. Our bodies bring forth the greatest manifestation, which is life. And, sometimes we act like our bodies are not as important as they are, but it is. It is. And so I want to unpack this too, because this is important, because, I, in another video, was talking about, would you give a man the passcode to your phone on the third, fourth, fifth date? And we unpack that, and a lot of people, and actually I did a TikTok on it and that kind of went viral. And a lot of people were like, no, I would not never give a man my passcode to my phone and stuff like that. I wouldn't trust him enough, right? Even on the third date, would you give the man your bank account information and things like that? Probably not. So you wouldn't give him your passcode to your phone, your bank information, and things like that. But we are giving people access to our bodies in that way. And that doesn't even make sense. We are not honoring our bodies and what it is. It creates the biggest manifestation that we can even do, which is life, right? We're not honoring our bodies in the way that it needs to be honored, because we are really essentially, if you wouldn't give someone the passcode to your phone, but you would give them access to your body, that means you are honoring your phone over your temple, your body. And so even if we look at Marilyn Monroe and how she perhaps needed to do some inner work and like a deep dive within herself and take some inventory of like some of that childhood trauma that she endured, she was not honoring her body in the way that we should. And it took its toll on her mentally, because it does that. It affects us emotionally and mentally. And we are just acting like, our phones are more important than our bodies. And we are lowering the standards for ourselves for this person, that person, and the other person. Like, we got to look at those kind of things. You will lose every time when you start lowering your standards and allowing people to cross your boundaries and not honoring your desires. And so confidence is key. And as amazing and beautiful as Marilyn Monroe was, she really didn't have confidence in herself. Because true confidence is being grounded in who you are. Now, I've done several videos on what confidence is. Now I talk about standards, values, and desires. That's your confidence. It's being grounded in who you are, and your values, your standards, your desires are your confidence. They are you. Being grounded and convicted in who you are is going to help you in your feminine energy journey and embracing your femininity. Like I said, you will lose every single time when you start lowering your standards, allowing people to cross your boundaries, and all of that jazz. Like, for real. Like, that's why it's so important to hold to your standards. And I talked about in my last video about Mother's Day, and I was talking about my daughter having courage. It takes a lot of courage and guts to hold to your standards. You can talk about your standards, you can talk about your boundaries, you can talk about your desires all day, but it's another thing to hold to them. Okay, hold to your desires, hold to your boundaries, hold to all of those things. So what is confidence? Confidence is the knowing of what you stand for, knowing and identifying your standards, boundaries, and desires. In short, knowing and holding to what you want and knowing what you don't want. Okay, knowing what you want and knowing what you don't want. So I really wanted to go over that. It's so important to hold to your standards. It's so important to hold to your desires. It's so important to hold to all of those things. And so you will lose every single time when it comes to your femininity, when you start allowing people to cross those boundaries and lowering your standards. I hope you guys hear me. I hope you guys hear me. So it takes courage. Okay? It takes you flexing that fearless muscle to really hold to your standards. But this is why it's important, because you will start going down a slippery slope when you start lowering your standards and allowing people to, cross your boundaries and not holding to your desires. Now, I don't often talk about the desire part, but that's equally as important as your standards and boundaries. Holding to your desires is equally as important, because people are going to tell you, you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't do this, you can't do that. hold to your desires. That's also being grounded and convicted in who you are as well. Now, even in that case, like I said, if she had held to her desire for marriage and wanting more, would she have put herself in that situation? Probably not. No, probably not. And so that's why holding to your desires is just as important. Man, that was really hard to say. It's just as important as having standards and knowing your values and having boundaries, okay? And all of that falls under the umbrella of confidence. Confidence in who you are. Confidence is the key to femininity. And so you will, like I said, you will lose every single time when you start lowering your standards when it comes to femininity. Because masculine energy rises to the occasion. They rise to meet you at your standards, okay? You don't lower your standards. They rise to meet you there. What is that saying? The cream rises to the top or something like that? That's important, right? You don't want to be dealing with people that will allow you to lower your standards and are operating at lower standards. You hold to your standards and you have people rise to meet you there. If they can't hang, they can't hang. Just saying. If they can't hang, they can't hang. And so I really wanted to share that, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. So important when it comes to femininity and feminine energy is boundary. People will say that femininity is weak, and it is not. The contrary. It's the contrary. Because being pulled in all these directions by, what people say over there and this kind of thing and whatever, that's not being grounded. That's just going with the wind, being blown with the wind. Femininity is being convicted and grounded in who you are, in your confidence. That's femininity. Okay. So just wanted to share. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. I like to do videos on feminine energy. I think I'm going to start like a soft life series, which I definitely enjoy. And so I might do that. We'll see. Femininity Made Basic AF is coming up. What else? Oh, we have the Fearless Muscle with Adelina Courageous. It's going to be launching soon, June 23rd, so look out for that as well. And Manifesting Made Basic is on the website at ambermarieturner.com. I invite you guys to check it out. Anyways, that's all for this video, and I will check you guys in the next video.